In this video, we're going to be looking at how we multiply two expressions and why it works. Now, the expressions that we're going to be focusing on are called binomials, right? And a binomial is an expression with the sum or difference of two terms. So, for example, if I had something like 2x plus y, this is a binomial because here I have two terms. But if I had something like 2a plus x plus 3, then that's not a binomial because, as you notice, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Now, we can multiply all of the terms by each other, okay? So let's consider two binomials. Let's say we were multiplying something like a plus 1 times b plus 2. To do this, all we need to do is to multiply all of the terms by each other. There's a little acronym that helps us to do that. Its name is FOIL, right? And basically what it reminds us to do is to multiply the first term, and then the outside terms, and then the inside terms, and finally the last terms. Let's see what that looks like. So we have a plus 1 times b plus 2. That means we're going to multiply the first terms, right? So our first terms in both these expressions would be a and b. So that means we're going to multiply a, b. Next, we're going to multiply the outside terms. So our outside terms, they would be closest to the edge of the bracket. So that's a and 2. So that's going to be 2 times a. Next, our inside terms, or terms inside here, which are 1 and b. And finally, our last terms. So what are the last terms in the expression? 1 and 2. So now, if you notice here, we've multiplied all of the terms together. We've multiplied a by b and a by 2, and we've multiplied 1 by b and 1 by 2. And all we need to do now is to simplify. So AB, we already have that. 2 times A is 2A, 1 times B is just B, and 2 times 1 is just 2. So that's how we do it. But now the next question is, why does it work? There are a lot of ways that we can think about it. One way is by looking at it as multiplying two sides of a rectangle. Let me show you what I mean. Let me come down a little bit, and let's say that a plus 1 was the side of a rectangle and b plus 2 was the other side. So that means I'd have something looking like this. So I'd have my side, and I'd have my rectangle. Well, I don't think it should be this wide, but yeah, something like that. So one of the sides is a plus 1, and the other side is going to be b plus 2. Now, if this side is a plus 1, we can think about it as really saying one part of the length is a, and the next part of the length is 1, right? So all of this side is a, and then you have a little piece of it that's 1 unit. Likewise, for the side b plus 2, we could think of one part of it as being a length b, and then the next part of it being a length 2. So I could basically split it like that. So now I've been able, even though I don't know what a and b is, I've kind of been able to split up my rectangle into 4 different pieces in which it will be easier to find its area. Because if you think about it, for this rectangle right here, this little rectangle, I know that its length is a and its width is b. So I can call this AB, right? Likewise, for this rectangle right here, I know that its length is b and its width is 1. So I can call this 1 times b, or just b. What would be the dimensions for this little rectangle right here? Well, as you notice, its width is 1, its length is 2, so I can call this 2 because it's going to be 2 times 1. And finally, this long piece of rectangle right here would be a times 2, because I would have 2 on one side. One side is 2 and one side is a. So that's just 2a. So now I've been able to split up my rectangle into these 4 different pieces, which it's basically saying that to find the area, multiplying the sides a plus 1 and b plus 2, we would get AB, which we found here, B, which we found here, 2A, which we found up here, and 2, which we also found here. So that's the idea. In a sense, we are multiplying all of the terms by each other. Now let's look at one last example just to make sure that we get it, right? So let's say that we wanted to multiply, or rather we wanted to expand something like x plus 3 times x minus 2. Do you want to go ahead and give it a try, and then afterwards I'll compare my answer to yours? Go ahead, pause the video, take a minute. Okay, so let's work it out together. Let's see what you got. So now we have x plus 3 times x minus 2. Okay, so again, we can kind of think to organize it. We multiply the first, the outsides, the insides, the last. So which are the first terms in this expression? X and x. So it would be x times x, right? Next, we're going to multiply the outside terms, which are x and negative 2. So remember, all of this is negative 2. So that's going to be x times negative 2. Then we'll multiply our inside terms, which are 3 and x. So that's going to be 3 times x. And finally, our last terms, which are 3 and minus 2. So that's going to be 3 times minus 2. Now we can simplify. X times x is x squared, right? X times negative 2, that would be negative 2x. 3 times x, well, that's just 3x. And 3 times negative 2 would be negative 6. So we're on our way. There's one thing though. Notice that we have 2x terms. We have negative 2x and 3x. So we can simplify that, right? Because negative 2x plus 3x is just going to give us x, because that's the same thing as saying 3x minus 2x. So our final result would be x squared plus x minus 6.